Working Mom. Welcome back. This is episode 1, and today I'm sharing 3 concepts that completely changed my life as a working mother and have transformed the lives of hundreds of my clients. A few years ago, I was drowning. I had a successful career, a beautiful child, and from the outside, everything looked perfect. But inside, I felt like I was failing at everything. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and constantly questioning why I couldn't handle it all like other working moms seem to. That's when I started reading everything I could get my hands on: psychology books, productivity research, neuroscience studies, and I discovered 3 concepts that finally explained what was happening to me. More importantly, understanding these concepts gave me practical solutions that actually worked. These aren't my original ideas. They're backed by decades of science and research. But what I've discovered through my own experience and working with working mothers is how these concepts apply specifically to our unique situations in ways I'd never seen explained before. The first game changer came from learning that our working memory, the part of our brain that processes new information, has severe limits. Research shows it can only handle a small amount of information effectively at one time. This explained why I felt exhausted even when my day didn't seem that challenging on paper. But here is what I realized that I hadn't seen anyone talk about. Working mothers are constantly switching between completely different types of thinking. When I analyzed my own day, I realized I was juggling professional thinking, strategic planning, problem solving, managing relationships with colleagues, parenting thinking, child development decisions, scheduling, emotional support, discipline choices, household thinking, resource management, social calendars, maintenance coordination. I was asking my brain to be a CEO, a child psychologist, and a household manager, often within the same hour. No wonder I felt mentally fried. Here is what I learned. My exhaustion wasn't personal weakness. It was my brain hitting its natural processing limits across multiple demanding areas simultaneously. The second breakthrough came from research on choice overload. Science shows that having too many choices actually makes us less happy, more anxious, and more likely to avoid deciding altogether. Studies demonstrate that people faced with too many choices often experience paralysis, regret, and decreased satisfaction with their decisions. But as I reflected on my own experience and talked to my clients, I realized working mothers face this problem exponentially. We're not just choosing between jam varieties at the store. We're making high-stake choices across our entire lives. Career choices, which opportunities to pursue, how much travel to accept, what boundaries to set. Parenting choices, what to prioritize, what to let go, how to spend our time and money. Relationship choices, how to maintain our partnerships while managing everything else. And we're often making these choices simultaneously throughout the same day with limited time to properly consider each one. What I learned is my decision paralysis wasn't indecisiveness. It was predictable response to being overwhelmed by too many significant choices across too many life areas. The third revelation came from research on self-control. Science shows that willpower operates like a muscle. Use it intensively and it becomes temporarily weakened. This explained why I could be patient and composed all day at work, but lose it over something minor at home. It wasn't that I loved my child less than my colleagues. It was that I'd already used up my self-control resources. But here is what I realized was the biggest problem. As working mothers, we were trying to use willpower to force ourselves through situations that weren't aligned with our values or supported by good systems. We were, at work, trying to power through poorly structured days instead of creating boundaries. As parents, using willpower to stay patient instead of creating systems that reduced daily friction. Managing household, finding ourselves to maintain routines instead of designed routines that actually worked for our lives. In relationships, using willpower to communicate better instead of creating structures for regular connection. I was exhausting myself trying to willpower my way through a life that wasn't designed to work. The goal isn't to manage willpower better, it's to need it less. When your actions align with your values and you have systems that support those actions, consistency becomes natural rather than forced. Understanding these concepts was life changing, but the real transformation came from the practical applications I developed for myself and my clients. Since our brains have limited capacity, I learned to protect my mental energy by creating clear boundaries between different types of thinking. I make work decisions during work hours and family decisions during family time, not all mixed together. I physically transition between roles with simple rituals like changing clothes or moving to a different space. I give myself 5-minute reset breaks when switching between major responsibilities. The key is recognizing you cannot be in work brain and parent brain simultaneously without exhausting yourself. Give each one its own space. Since too many choices create paralysis, I systematically reduced decisions in areas that didn't need my full attention. Here's what I mean. I automated routine decisions like breakfast options, workout fits, and weekend activities. I batch process similar decisions together instead of spreading them throughout the day. I accept good enough for things that don't really matter, so I have energy for decisions that do. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about being strategic with your decision-making energy. Since willpower is unreliable and gets used up, I learned to create systems based on my values that make the right choices easier and more automatic. So here's what this looks like. I identified what truly matters to me and designed my daily routines around these priorities. I set up my environment to support desired behaviors like meal prep stations and morning routine setups. I built consistency through small, sustainable actions rather than relying on motivation or forcing myself through difficulty. When you design your life around what matters instead of fighting against yourself, everything gets easier. Understanding these concepts removed so much self-blame. I stopped thinking I was uniquely weak or disorganized. I realized I was experiencing predictable human limitations under extraordinary circumstances. Over the past few years, I've shared these concepts with hundreds of working mothers. The response has been consistently transformative. They feel validated in their struggles and empowered with practical solutions. When working mothers stop burning out, everyone benefits. Their families get more present, patient mothers. Their workplaces get more focused, strategic employees. Their communities get women with energy to contribute. If these concepts resonated, here is how to begin. Week 1, observation. Notice when you feel mentally overloaded and identify which areas are competing for your attention. Pay attention to when decision paralysis hits and what types of choices are overwhelming you. Track when you're trying to willpower your way through situations and what systems might eliminate that struggle. Week 2, choose one change. Pick the concept that resonated most and try one practical application. Create one boundary between different roles, or automate one category of recurring decisions, or create one system based on your values that eliminates the need to fight yourself about something. Beautiful working mom, what I've learned through my own journey and working with clients is this: you're not failing. You're not uniquely disorganized. You're not weaker than other people. You're experiencing predictable human limitations while managing unprecedented demands across multiple complex life areas. When you recognize that your overwhelm is your nervous system responding to genuine cognitive overload, everything shifts. The solution isn't to try harder or manage your willpower better. It's to work strategically within your brain's actual capacity and create systems aligned with your values that make the right choices easier and more automatic. These research-backed concepts gave me the framework. My experience as a working mother and life coach showed me how to apply them practically, not through more discipline or willpower, but through better design of my daily life. Start with understanding. Move to one small system change. Trust that when your actions align with your values and you have support systems in place, consistency becomes natural than forced. You've got this. Not because you need to be stronger, but because you now understand how to be strategic. I'll see you next week for my next episode. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it.